Good evening and welcome to episode 4 of 718 Sports. My name is Miles. I'm joined once again with the best co-host in the entire world, Isaiah. How are we feeling? We just came off episode 3. We're now going right into episode 4. It's never done in history, but we're doing it. We're making it happen and we're getting to work. We're excited. We're hyped. The boys are lit. And today we are going to be talking about, in my opinion, one of the best divisions in all of sports. How are you doing though, Isaiah?
I'm doing great, Miles. I love the AL West. Very, very fun division. So it's not the AL Central, not the AL Mid, but it's probably one of my favorite divisions and also all of baseball. The competition there is amazing. And I mean, want to hop right in?
Yeah, let's do it. AL West. We're going to start with last place, and I think we're both going to be on the same page of who we think is going to be in the last place. And it's unfortunate because the Oakland Athletics are probably one of the most historical, beloved franchises in maybe all of sports. I really want to go out there to the Oakland Coliseum. It's a little far because I do go to college here in Massachusetts and I live in New York, but Oakland is going to be the number 5 spot, and simply put, they're going to be a terrible team this year. They're very realistically could be one of the worst teams ever in baseball. And this is just because they're an entire team of double and single A players. There's no one that is strong. There's no one that is good. It is simply just a disaster franchise in a terrible situation because a lot of this does not fall on the players. The players themselves are good players. They're good people, but they're stuck in a terrible spot. And like the only A I can think of is like Miguel Andujar. But like, you know, so just it's going to be a tough year for them, and it's a shame. But I really do hope the Oakland A's fans enjoy being in Oakland and enjoy being
Well,
fans.
yeah, for the
It's
next,
really
what, 2, 3 years before they move to Vegas?
really tough before they eventually move to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
It's going to get really nasty between the city of Oakland because I guess the lease of Oakland Coliseum ends after this season, and yeah, we're going to end it with Oakland A's in fifth place, but. What are your thoughts on the Oakland Athletics, and do you think they're going to finish fifth place? Because I hope you say that they will finish fifth place. If not,
Um,
I might lose my mind on you, but go for it.
I will agree with you. They will be in fifth place. I know sorry, I talked about last night how badly run the Chicago White Sox were. I believe you said that. And I mean, this division has two of the most poorly run teams in all of baseball with the Oakland Athletics and the Anaheim Angels. But yeah, the Athletics, I'm a big prospect guy. I love looking at that stuff, and the A's have nobody. They didn't really get anybody back. They didn't get enough back for Matt Olson, Matt Chapman. They've given away a lot of pitching, and they really don't have any guys. They don't really have a centerpiece to build around. And I mean, I think you said it like it's gonna suck for those fans in Oakland, especially with them moving to Vegas. But this year's gonna be really, really tough for the Oakland Athletics fans because they're not gonna really see much winning baseball. I mean, a ticket to an A's game right now might be cheaper than like a hot dog at a college basketball game. Like tickets are gonna be really cheap. No one's gonna go out of their way to go see an Oakland game this year because they have nobody like no one who they don't have anybody anyone wants to watch. They don't have any like spotlight players. They don't have any rising stars. So it's a very, very sad and embarrassing story for the Oakland Athletics.
It's a shame because you look back and I was watching these, videos of the World Series of '86. Maybe it wasn't '86, but it was definitely a couple of the World Series in the '80s for the Oakland Athletics. And the Coliseum was packed, man. I mean, it was packed full of fans. Everyone was really into it. And just how it's just gone from that to this
Yeah.
is really disappointing to see.
I mean, I look back at my childhood, like we grew up with Moneyball, which is arguably the best sports movie of all time, in my opinion. Amazing movie, amazing actors, amazing story. And then I also, as a Tigers fan, I grew up with Verlander facing the A's during the playoffs. Like that team had something. That team had a future. And in the last 2 or 3 years, they've teared it down. They're trying to rebuild. They're on like a Wembanyama type rebuild, but they just haven't really drafted the guys. I believe they got Jacob Wilson in the first round this year, who is a stud, but he's not a guy you can really build a team around, which really sucks.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now we could spend hours discussing how the A's can't run a franchise. Um, but it's gonna make me more aggravated because the four teams ahead of them are legit baseball clubs. Wink, wink. Not really, but really three. But so the Angels are a better run team than the Athletics, I would say, and that's who my number four spot is going to be. It's going to be the Los Angeles Angels. They really baffled this Shohei Ohtani thing. And as a fan, I think it's really disappointing to see because even I am shouting from my chest at the midpoint of last season going, trade Shohei Ohtani, trade Shohei Ohtani. Do you know how much they would have gotten if they had traded Shohei Ohtani for a 1 year rental to like the Blue Jays or the Yankees or literally anywhere? They would have gotten so much because you could be giving up your top five prospects, you'd be giving up a role player. Like, he is the best baseball player in the team, and you decide to keep him because you think he would resign, but it's not really what worked out. And so you lose Shohei Ohtani for nothing. You have Mike Trout, and as much as Mike Trout is considered the GOAT of baseball, Mike Trout is getting up there in age, and he is slowing down, and his hitting ability is slowing down. His skills are going down. He's becoming more injury prone. And it's a shame because I like Mike Trout. He's a great guy. But he's definitely not the player who he used to be. Anthony Rendon, another one of those guys, just not a great player. And that quote about how he doesn't really value baseball as much anymore, which I can kind of argue for and against, but it's not really what do you want to hear if you're an Angels fan to hear, oh, it's the guy we paid 7 years
Yeah.
in a massive deal doesn't care about baseball. Not really a great scene. But just like baseball wise, I don't really see this team doing anything in terms of big moves. They're going to win 75 games this season. Maybe I think that's the floor could be 65 wins. The ceilings could be 85 wins if we're stretching it. Um, Pitching staff isn't the best in the world either. Could be better, could be worse. And the Angels simply, I mean, other than Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon are a team of nobodies. But what do you have to say about that? Do you think the Angels are going to finish fourth?
I mean, I have to agree with you. I think the Angels are they are a very player-run organization, and it's really, really hard, especially as a baseball fan. I know you said like Mike Trout could be argued to be the greatest player of all time in all of baseball. I think when he retires, he'll be the greatest player in all of sports to not win a championship because it's really sad. Like they had Otani. The Angels have pushed for guys. They brought Rendon in. They brought Syndergaard in. They tried to bring guys in for the last couple of years, and those guys either haven't panned out or just they released them. Like in the offseason, they're not in the offseason. The trade deadline last year, they brought in Giolito, they brought in relievers, they brought in all these guys to help bolster that staff for a playoff run, and then weeks later they're on waivers. Like the management is really bad in Anaheim. They have a top first base prospect, but they don't really have much after him. They didn't do anything this offseason worth that's notable. They haven't bolstered their pitching, as you said. They haven't bolstered their hitting. They still have Rendon on contract. They didn't get Stroman. They're probably not going to get Snell. So it's really tough to see, especially with Mike Trout not wanting to leave Anaheim. It's really tough to see like how poorly run this team has. CJ Cron had a breakout year last year, and he was in the Angels 2 years ago, I believe. So it's really, really tough to see just how far the Angels have fallen, especially with the Rangers winning the World Series last year. Like the competition gap is just greatly increased, and Angels just haven't caught up.
Definitely right. And you look at the Angels team a few years ago, and you're like, hey, this team legitimately could make a run in the playoffs if everything clicks and everything goes well. But, I think the general consensus is just like that's not going to be happening. They're just poorly run. They don't really know what they're doing in the free agent, like the front office, and also just coaching wise could be a little better. But, I think once the Mike Trout era ends, I think you could be seeing definitely some changes and just a change in baseball operations.
Yeah.
Because they did win a World Series in the early 2000s. People forget about that.
Yeah.
They did win a World Series in the early 2000s. So a lot of things that were really successful about that team, the 2002 Anaheim Angels. But this is not going to be their year for sure.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear who you have for number three. So I want to hear yours before I go ahead and say mine.
I mean, I was thinking about this. I was at the gym previously, but it's really hard. I think that if you 1, 2, and 3 in the AL West could all make the playoffs, Two of them could miss the playoffs depending on how the AL East does, but it's really tough. I really don't know. I was thinking about this. I really don't know, but I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think it's going to be the Texas Rangers, the former World Series champs. I think that they're a really strong team. We're still in free agency, so we could still see Jordan Montgomery go back to the Rangers. Probably not going to happen, but you never know. He probably won't get another big free agent signing, but they have a really, really, really strong farm system. If I don't know if you've seen Wyatt Langford play. Wyatt Langford made me very sad the Tigers didn't draft him because that boy is a stud. He went from I believe he's starting in AAA. He's on their spring training team.
Mhm.
He is a monster, an absolute freaking monster, and he matches the ball. An outfield of him, Evan Carter, and Aroldis Garcia is really scary. It's really, really scary. And with Gronkowski on the bench, there's a lot of depth there in Texas. They still have a really good pitching staff. That wasn't healthy last year, so we get to see Jacob deGrom and Scherzer back this year, and Eovaldi still there. They have all the experience, they have all the playoff repertoire, but I mean, I think it's that division is really, really strong. I think they're probably going to be a playoff team. They'll probably end up being a wild card team, but I don't think they have it this year in the division. What do you think, Miles?
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and say the Seattle Mariners are going to finish in third place. Um, I think this is sort of a safe bet third place team. And I like the Seattle Mariners a lot. I think they're going to be, in my opinion, 88, 89, maybe a 90 win team. They're super young. There's a lot to look forward to as Mariners fans, which is really exciting. I mean, that rotation of Castillo and Kirby, really strong right out of the gate as your 1-2 starters. And then you got Rodriguez. Obviously, we know who Rodriguez is and what he can do on the offensive side of the bat, but also the defensive side of the bat for Julio Rodriguez is really strong as well. And there's a lot of excitement going on. But for me, it's looking at who's in front of them. And I'm looking at the Seattle Mariners, and I'm like, if you put them in the AL Central division, they're going to run away with that division for sure. But it's because of that division, the guys who are ahead of them, who I just don't feel like the Seattle Mariners have that experience, have that skill set yet, have that proven experience and knowledge of the sport of baseball to really make a push into those first two spots in the AL West. I think this team could win the wild card. I think this team could sneak into the World Series if we're going all the way. This is a true contending team. And just because I'm saying they're finishing third does not mean I think they're a bad team. I just think the other two are going to be stronger during the regular season and make more of an impact in those standings.
Yeah. I mean, I think all three of the teams we're going to talk about are all possible 100-win teams. This division will come down to the last week of baseball like it did last year. So, I mean, flip-flopping all three of the teams. I know I'm going to assume you're going to put number two, so I'm thinking about it, but I agree with you. Like, it's going to be a really interesting regular season, especially with Kirby, Castillo, um, Gilbert still there. And personally, I think Seattle's my number two pick. I think J-Rod is the most exciting baseball player to watch right now besides Ronald Acuna. He is about to be not even in his prime, and he's still very young. Great defender, as you said. One of the best defensive players in the league right now. And he's a young guy in their prime. They didn't bring back Teoscar Hernandez, which I think was a big blow, but they're bringing in Adam Frazier. They have a solid farm system, and they're bringing in guys. They're making an attempt. They're making a move. They saw what the D-backs did last year, and I could see them going on a D-backs-esque run. Like, they have the depth. They have the talent there. So I think, as you said, this division is going to come down to, like, the guys in front of them, like, how deep those teams go. So it's going to be a really interesting year in the AOS. But who do you have at number two?
Before we move on to that, my question is what puts Seattle in front of Texas?
I mean, I don't know. I like teams like that team has grit. Texas has the experience, but Seattle, I believe it was 2 years ago when they made the playoffs the first time in a while. There was the whole fandom came together, and that's what teams need. When the fans are there for the team, it gives them energy. And the young culture in Seattle, I could see them. They still, I no, they did trade Noel Marte, but they still have a really, really young, fun team. They did trade Jared Kelnick, but they still have a really young, fun team. They have guys who can hit. They have guys who can. Ty France is a stud, most underrated first baseman of all of baseball. He is a stud, and I think it's gonna come down to the energy. If they can bring the energy in Seattle, if J-Rod can bring the energy, then they're gonna win a lot of games. I know Texas and Houston are gonna be incredibly dominant teams. So it's going to come down to how much do they want it? And I think Seattle really, really wants it.
Definitely. And I really liked your point there with the grit and putting the fans around them. I think that Seattle having that such dedicated fan base is really gonna, win them a few games in terms of their, expertise and their knowledge and their just drive to win the game. And home field advantage is a real thing. Like in baseball, the Oakland A's don't win a lot of games because they have no one that really cares, and especially in a city such as New York or, a Boston, even Seattle, the media really cares a lot about their sports teams and they will let you know when you're doing something bad or doing something that they don't like. It's part of the game and it does drive teams. So I really like that point. I think that's something that doesn't really get talked about much, but continue on with the conversation. I'm going to be putting the Texas Rangers at the number 2 spot. Simply put, I can't bet against the Astros. I've had that mistake too many times in my life. But going off the Texas Rangers, they've won the World Series last year, and they're going to be dominant this year as well. Look at that team, right? Corey, I did not think the Texas Rangers were going to do anything going into this season, or into the previous season, excuse me. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this is a good team. This is a skilled team. They're playing the Rays in the first round. Let's see what happens. So I see what happens. They sweep the Rays, they sweep the Orioles, and then they go to the ALCS. Who do they play in the ALCS? The Houston Astros. They win a tough series and then end up winning the World Series against the D-backs. It's a good team. It is a strong team, a powerful team. Corey Seager, Garcia. Let's not forget that they have Jacob deGrom on their staff.
Don't forget Simeon too.
Don't forget Simeon. I'm definitely not neglecting Simeon, but they got Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer. You got not Justin Verlander, excuse me. But you got two really strong players, really strong pitchers back to back. Remember, Jacob deGrom is arguably one of the best pitchers ever. And then you pair that with Scherzer. You pair that with other players. You got Evaldi on that rotation. What if they bring back Montgomery? All these things that if everything goes really well for Texas, they're going to be a powerhouse team and very easily could win the division. But my issue is who's in first place for me. So
Before you go to that, I do want to agree with you. I do think Texas is really, really good. I love my prospects. Jack Leiter did struggle a lot last season. I believe he'll be going to, I think he'll be in the high A this year. But as you said, like, I think their biggest struggle this offseason has been their pitching. They didn't sign Hader, didn't get Montgomery. So bringing up a guy like Kumar Rocker, bringing up a guy like Jack Leiter would be huge for that squad. And I do agree with you. And I want you to go into your thing of why the Houston Astros are going to win the division.
before we get there too, I think one risk of this Texas team is the injury proneness of DeGrom and Scherzer. These are two pitchers that get hurt quite a bit, and they're getting old, and they're getting to that age where they're not going to be as effective anymore. So I think those two guys really got to be smart about their pitching. They got to be managed the right way. They got to be trained the right way. They got to be treated the right way. And that's going to be a huge part. But continuing to what you were saying, the Houston Astros will win the AL West. It is really hard for me to say that I don't think the Houston Astros are a good team. They are always going to be good for the next few years. They've made 4 World Series appearances. They've won 2 of them. They are a legitimate team. They are strong. You still got Altuve. You still got Bregman. You still got Alvarez. You still got those guys in that roster. And then you got that pitching. Those pitchers are good down there in H-Town, okay? They're really, really strong. They're well managed. They're well coached. They're well developed. They have an excellent farm system. They're going to be a good team. This is a team that is a dynasty. This is not, a one-hit wonder. This is not the 2009 Yankees. This is a dynasty. This is a team that is going to win championships over multiple times. And as a Yankees fan, you can never bet against the Astros. They will come and tear you to shreds, no matter what. Even with that Texas Rangers series, it was a really hard-fought series, and it went all the way to the end. all the way to the end because they have the guys to do it. They have Altuve, arguably the clutchest player I think I've ever seen. That one home run in the ALCS. Yes.
Wow. I never
Yeah.
thought I'd hear you say that.
Down 5-3, and then you hit a 3-run bomb to take the lead in game 5 of a championship series. That is really clutch. And on the road, too, I may add. So, I know I'm offering all this praise. I think they have their, downfalls, but I think no matter what, this team is going to be strong. This team is going to be impressive. Kyle Tucker, another great guy. Forgot to mention Kyle Tucker, great dude. Um, they're going to be strong. They're going to be powerful. They're expected to be powerful. Their expectations are going to be really high. They're going to be performing really high. And they're going to be a team that could legitimately win it all and win very fairly and very clearly and defiantly win their third championship. But what do you have to say about that?
I mean, I agree. I think this year is going to be really interesting for Texas, but simply put, I think that Texas just runs MLB baseball. They've won and been to how many of the last like 6 World Series? They've been to a lot. That's the thing. Texas just runs baseball right now. But back to what I was saying, I think it's gonna be really interesting this year. Um, they brought in Josh Hader to help out Ryan Presley, so they bolstered their already really, really good bullpen. They brought in one of the scariest arms in the MLB, so it's going to be really, really scary to see that bullpen. Brought back Verlander, my all-time favorite player, so it was really good to see. He is a little old. They are a little down in starting pitching. Um, Hunter Brown from Wayne State College back in Metro. Really good pitcher, really good rookie year, but they don't really have a lot of starting pitching, and that's their biggest concern. But to me, the scariest thing about them is how well they develop players. When Carlos Correa left Houston, I was like, they're done for. Like they don't have that middle guy, Jeremy Pena, up that next year. Bregman's on a 1 year. This is the last year of Bregman's deal. I would not be surprised if he gets moved at the deadline for prospects, and then immediately new superstars up at third base. So
Mhm.
I mean that team is really good, as you said. Like they're going to be very high expectations, but they have the clutchest player in the MLB. They have back on. Okay, sorry everybody, my Wi-Fi is horrible. But back to what I was saying. I mean, it's going to take a lot for whoever wins the AL West to really win. They're going to have to dig deep. They're going to have to use everybody. And I mean, Houston's a team. They had Osuna's very, very controversial, but they know how to coach guys. They know how to build guys up. So it's going to be a really fun year in the AL West.
Absolutely. I think, it's very different from what we were talking about with the AL Central and how, the AL Central, it's going to be whoever is going to barely scratch it by is going to win it all. Not win it all, but win the AL Central. That's not what's going on in the AL West. The AL West is going to be a hard fought battle between three juggernaut teams that are going to be beating the crap out of each other for a chance at hosting a championship series, I would say. And that's ultimately what happened in the previous season. And, it's going to happen again. The
Yeah.
Mariners
I
didn't
mean,
really win it all. The Rangers obviously did what they did. The Astros have been two-time world champions in the past 10 years. They have the guys to do it. Um, it's going to be really exciting to watch.
I
So the
think it's going to
American
be
League,
really interesting too for the AL East. Like, I know
right,
you're a huge Yankees fan,
right.
but those wild cards are going to come down to a couple games. And I mean, whoever wins both those divisions are going to make the playoffs. So there's really about 4 teams competing for 3 spots. So or yeah, four teams competing for three spots. So it's going to be really, really high level baseball being played, especially coming to September from Tampa Bay, Baltimore, New York, Seattle, Texas, and Houston. It's going to be really, really high level baseball being played to fight for those spots.
Yeah. And I think a good question to be asking here is, top, what is your top team in the American League? Because, there's so many that could be filled. The Yankees, the Astros, the Rays, the Blue Jays could really sneak in there, and the Mariners could sneak in there. But here's what I think. And I know you're not going to like this, but I think the Yankees are the best team in the American League. And you saw his reaction. Did you all see his reaction? He went, oh man. The Yankees are the best team in the American League. They have the right pitchers.
Well, let me ask you a question though.
Go
When you mean
for it.
the best in the American League, do you mean the best regular season wise or the best team?
Best
Because those
team.
are very different
Best
answers.
team.
Okay.
What team do you think is ultimately going to win the American League? No, and go to the World Series. That's what I meant by that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think Baltimore will again take the one seed in the AL. But I think, as you said, it's really hard. I hate to say it, but the Yankees do, if they make the playoffs, will look like a really, really strong team. But I mean, I think we talked about it before. I think it's going to come down to the Yankees, the Astros, and the Rangers. Those three teams have depth. They have playoff experience. And I mean, three historic franchises. So it's really gonna come down to like who's healthy come playoff time for those three teams. What do you think, Miles?
Yeah, it's going to come down to
Besides, do you think the Yankees really have it all?
the Yankees do have it all. The Yankees will always have it all, in my opinions. Maybe because I'm a delusional Yankees fan, but I have so much pride in my team this year. I mean, you got Soto, you got Judge, you got Verdugo, you got a lot of great talent on the offensive side of the ball. I still think they're a little too much home run or miss for me. That's my only concern. The Yankees are one of those teams where it's like one night they're going to score 15 runs and hit four grand slams and have a great night. The next night they're going to hit ground balls and strikeouts, and that's another thing they're going to do. That kind of mentality of we're going to have Giancarlo Stanton show. Giancarlo Stanton is either hitting a home run, he's grounding out, or he's striking out. That's all he's doing. He's doing nothing else. Okay, that is simply what's going on with Giancarlo Stanton. The guy is a dog. The guy is a great player, but that's all he's there for. He's there to hit home runs. And a lot of guys in the Yankees are there to hit home runs, and that's their kind of their thing, to hit just a bunch of home runs. And that home run or miss, kind of thought process sometimes leads you down the wrong path, and has been leading down the Yankees with the wrong path. But now you got Soto. Soto's a very different kind of player. Soto does
You're gonna
more.
get Dominguez back.
He gets the hits back. He walks a ton. He gets singles. He gets on base. Once you get on base, first and second, then you got, Judge, and you got Stanton, you got LeMahieu, you got Torres, you got those guys. The chances of you scoring are going to go through the roof when you got that first guy already on first base. Period. Now I understand the Astros are a good team. They are a great team, but I think simply put, it's bound the Yankees are going to break through that curse. It's going to be time eventually for that Yankees team to say, you know what, we're sick of this. Let's do it finally. That's what I hope happens. Again,
Hmm.
I could be wrong. 2019, I was very wrong. 2019 was not the best ending result as I wanted. That Altuve home run at the end may have made me cry, maybe not. And this guy right here may have not sent me 20 text messages about how the Yankees lost. And I'm like, really? What?
Maybe, maybe.
What? I don't remember that at all. The Yankees lost to the Astros because of a what? That's crazy. I don't remember that happening at all. Yet you guys had no idea how much I want to punch this kid in the face. I was like, oh,
I get that a lot.
you're really pushing the knife in. I was just like, wow. You remember that, right?
Yeah, I also get that punch in the face thing a lot. Not just you.
I was just like, well, really? And I didn't even respond. I was like, I can't even look at this. I waited till the next morning and just be like, all right. Well, I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
And she says, Isaiah sent you a text. Isaiah sent post by Astros. Isaiah sent post by MLB. Isaiah, I'm like, oh God, you know. But anyway, simply put, Yankees Astros in the ALCS. It's going to be a great series. It's going to
Yeah.
happen again. Yankees in 7 because they're going to host this time because they're going to win the AL East and they're going to get the 1 seed. And it's
That's where I'm going to disagree with you. I think the AL champion, that path runs through the AL West. I mean, I didn't talk about it before, but Jorge Polanco's in Seattle. Seattle lost Robbie Ray. Like, there's a lot of stars in the AL West. Free agency is still not over. We still have Snell on the market. Chapman. I mean, Chapman can still go to a team like Houston where they can trade a piece like Bregman. Like, we don't know what's going to happen.
right.
I doubt he'll go to Houston. I doubt those teams will make those moves, but the AL champ runs through the AL West. Like,
Well, my question now though is this: if the Yankees do sign Snell, do you think that pushes them over? Because think of that. Hold on, think of that rotation now. Because now you got Cole, you got Cortez, you got Snell, you got, oh my God, who's in number 2? Rodon. I mean, those 4 pitchers, those are some good pitchers, buddy. So
I
I'm,
mean, I want to say first that the Yankees don't have Snell yet. That's the first thing. They don't have Snell, still a free agent, but I don't know. I mean, I think you would say, I'm going to speak for you right now, that the Yankees are the best team in the MLB with Blake Snell. Would you agree with that?
yeah,
I do. I think it's really complicated because I'm a big Blake Snell supporter. I loved him in Tampa Bay. I was heartbroken when his manager pulled him in the 6th inning of that final game against the Dodgers. Great, amazing Cy Young year last year. I think he's amazing, but there's a lot of talk. Like, he was very inconsistent between those 2 Cy Young years, between his Rookie of the Year and his Cy Young year. Very inconsistent, very up and down, high walk rate. And I mean, I don't want to believe it, but the talk is real. Like, the stats speak for themselves. So it's going to be very interesting to see where Snell goes because where he goes might depend on who wins the World Series. That's how free agency works, but that's what a player like that is. Like, if he goes to the Yankees, that might push them over a team like the Rangers. But as we're talking about, like, are the Yankees above even the Astros with Blake Snell? Because that team still has Verlander, team still has Hunter Brown, that team still has a lot of pitching. But I mean, if they get Blake Snell, it's a different story. But we'll still have to wait on that.
right. And I think that's a fair point to say. I think a lot of fans go out, and myself, as I just said, whoa, what if the Yankees got Blake Snell? They haven't got Blake Snell yet. Blake Snell could sign with the Oakland Athletics for all we know. I don't think he will, but he could. You know, he could sign a 1-year, $2 million deal just to mess with everyone. That would be funny. Imagine he did that. That'd be so funny if he did that.
Dude, I would
Break
never
the
watch
age.
baseball again. It would be
The Oakland
insane.
A's have signed Blake Snell to a 1-year, $250,000
That'd
contract.
be like an Arson Judge type post. Like,
Yeah.
no one's gonna believe it. Like, it
Oh
would be
yeah.
insane.
Everybody's got him. Okay, sure.
But yeah, back to that. There's still a lot of top free agents on the market, especially for, I think, the Yankees right now. I know this is an ALS episode, but we're talking a lot about the Yankees, but the Yankees are in the best spot out of every team in the I'm gonna say NFL, MLB, to sign the players left over. There's still Snell, there's still Matt Chapman, there's still Jordan Montgomery. The top 3 players in the market right now all could have Yankees ties. They'd all would be a great fit for the Yankees. So, I mean, I think it's down to the Yankees on if Cashman really wants to win. Because
Right.
if he doesn't sign a piece like that, then they're not the same level as Texas. They're not the same level as Houston. And Seattle's creeping up there. Seattle's making moves. So it's going to be all on Brian Cashman to see if he really wants it.
Right. And I think for me, I don't see Jordan Montgomery coming back to the Yankees. I highly doubt that, especially with the Yankees trading him for basically Harrison Bader, which didn't really turn out to be much in New York.
Now he's down in Queens. Yeah.
You know, now he's down in Queens, whatever. But honestly, I see Jordan Montgomery going to either the Red Sox, the Mets, or the Rangers. Then you got Snell. I think he's going to go to the Yankees. I think it's just a matter of working out contract details at this point. It's going to be happening in the next few days. That's my prediction. And then who was the other guy you mentioned?
Matt
Matt
Chapman.
Chapman. I think he's going to re-sign with the Blue Jays, maybe a 3-4 year deal. I could see that kind of work out. But also I could see him go to San Francisco. I think that's a real possibility for him as well.
Hmm.
It's a matter of time, though. It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's really weird how they haven't been signed this late because
Hmm.
Cody
We're already
Bellinger.
in spring training. Yeah, we've already had spring training
Spring
games
training
already.
games are taking place. Pitchers and catchers have reported players are throwing their coach, and then you still got guys in their houses being like dealing with contract stuff. So it's
Yeah,
really a lot of it is just dealing with agents and all that, but it's
yeah.
really starting to stress out both the fans, the players, and the teams. Like, why haven't we started playing yet? Because
I
obviously they
mean, yeah,
want to play and they're going to play for a team, but just a matter of who and when and who's going to give them the best deal.
yeah. I mean, I forgot Gio Urshela was even a free agent until he signed with the Tigers. So I mean, it's still really complicated. There's still guys in the market. I mean, the next week or so will be a really interesting week to see like who gets picked up. I know it's a bad take. I think the Yankees should really go all in on Chapman and Snell. I think Chapman would fill a big hole there at third base because they don't really have any top like infield prospects. And I mean, we both know how good Snell would be in New York. But I mean, I could see Snell going to a team like San Francisco with Chapman. I could see Snell going somewhere like I don't even know where I could see Snell going. I don't know. It's really weird. I hate free agency this year. It's been really annoying, especially with how much the Dodgers have been spending. I could see them dropping another like $1 billion on those two guys just to annoy the rest of the MLB and
Yeah,
fans.
that
But
would be. I don't know if I'd watch baseball if they signed one of those three.
dude, I
Um,
mean, I might have to watch basketball, like FIBA basketball in the spring instead,
yeah,
because
we
it'd be
might.
embarrassing.
Yeah, we might have to watch MLS soccer. I think after that.
Don't even joke like that. Don't even joke like that. That would be too far. But yeah, I mean, it's still going to be a really interesting year. I think AL West is looking really good. AL Central is looking, AL East is looking solid. So it's the year of the GMs, man. GMs mean such a big deal to franchises now. So people like I've been criticizing Cash for the last few years, and he's finally making moves. I think that's a really good sign for the Yankees. Orioles management's doing a phenomenal job. Red Sox, Blue Jays, AL fucking sorry, AL Central, and then AL West is doing good. But I mean, it's a GM league now. Like those guys are the ones that build super teams. And we both know too well that like the Braves and the Astros and the Dodgers, they just build super teams. And I don't know. Free agency is going to be really weird. Like those players are going to mean such a big deal to this upcoming season. So do you have any final thoughts on that?
Yeah, some final thoughts. I think it's been a really interesting free agency season. I think there's a lot that still can be discussed, and the fact that we're having these discussions and basically end February, beginning of March is quite ridiculous. But thank you all for joining, and thank you all for popping out for episode 4. American League is over. We did it. We talked about the American League.
Wow.
Too bad we got another league to talk about, the National League, which
Yeah.
in my opinion could be a little more interesting, especially in that East Division. And, those Colorado Rockies looking scary out in the West. Wink, wink, which they're not. But
Yeah. We will see you
stay
guys
tuned.
soon.
See you guys soon.